Mrs. Tifa was someone who really had a deep connection to Sefer Tehillim, and there was a special request to have a shir connected to Sefer Tehillim. So I was going through all the shiurim that I could think of connecting Tehillim to at least Sefer Shemos, at least get close to the Sefer that we're in. So you'll excuse me for the fact we're not going to talk about Parashas Truma tonight. We'll get back to the regularly scheduled Parashios Mir Hashem next week. But we are going to be in Sefer Shemos. So if you remember, just a few weeks ago, we read the story where Moshe approaches Paro and basically says, "Let my people go." And what is Paro's response? So we go back to Parashas Shemos in Parak Hey, Pasuk Zion. So famously, the part that we're probably more familiar with is when Paro says, "Lo sosiva laseis teven la'am lobona levenim kitmo shosham im yechu v'koshu lem teven." Which means that Paro changes the rules. Oh, you want to get out of jail free? You want more vacation time? I'm going to make it harder for you. I'm going to take away. You're going to have to cut your own straw and build your own bricks. And then the pasuk says, pasuk test, Tichvad havoda al nashim v'yasuba. I want to increase the harshness of the avoda on the people. V'al yishu b'divrei sheker, and they should not turn to divrei sheker. They should not turn to words of falsehood. What are these words of falsehood? What was Paro referencing when he said the Jewish people shouldn't be turning to divrei sheker? So what would we think is conventional wisdom is what we're talking about? What's the obvious approach to say? I don't want to hear this divrei sheker.
The words of Moses.
Probably either the talk about God or this talk about we want a vacation. Something that was going on in the conversation just previously is probably the most logical thing he's talking about. Something about God's existence or wanting a vacation. Something upset. He says divrei sheker. But the Medrash is a very different approach. What were these divrei sheker that Paro was referencing? Listen what the Medrash says. And this is a famous Medrash that we're going to see in a second. That Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky and Emes Yaakov has a famous approach. I think I remember Dr. Fisher years and years ago shared this approach, but it needs chazar because it's such a fundamental idea. So the Medrash says, "Al kenim tzoakim lemor," because what are they crying about? Tichvad avoda al anashim. We need to add the avoda to make it harder on the people. Milamed, how is Paro making it harder? Milamed shahayu biyada megillos. Shahayu mishtashim behem b'Shabbos. The Medrash says they have these megillos that they would use on Shabbos. Lomar shekadosh baruch hu go'alon. And these megillos, these scrolls, would talk about the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was the Redeemer. Why did they have scrolls that they were reading on Shabbos? Shahayu nochin b'Shabbos. Because they were resting on Shabbos. Amar len Paro. Paro, what is the new verdict that he changes? What does he change after Moshe says, "Let my people go"? Tichbad ha'avoda al anashim v'yasu ba v'al yishu. They shouldn't, again, our pasuk, don't let them rely on the divrei sheker. Al yu mishtashim v'al yehu nefishim b'yom haShabbos. They have too much free time on their hands, and they're getting too much chizuk on Shabbos. No more ain't gonna work on Saturday. You're gonna start working on Saturday. The Medrash says that in response to Moshe's request to let the Jewish people go, Paro, up the ante and said, actually, you're no longer gonna you're no longer work for 6 days. You're gonna start working for 7 days a week. That's what the Medrash says. Okay, so a number of questions jump out on this Medrash. Anyone wanna chime in on the Medrash? Anyone think of any questions on the Medrash? Okay, so first thing, just some background historically. So why did they have 6 days? How did they get from 6 days now they got Shabbos off? How did they get Shabbos off originally? That was something I was wondering. Medrash, they had Shabbos off. Paro is a from guy. Paro is sensitivity to from workers. Says, would you guys like a day off? Would you like what day should we pick? You gave him Shabbos off. That's one question I want to deal with. What? Okay, and there's no Shabbos then altogether. Good. And additionally, what were the Megillos? We don't know what these Megillos were. The Medrash says they had these Megillos, these scrolls. What were they reading on Shabbos that was giving them such chizuk? The only thing the Medrash says is Lomar shekadosh baruch hu go'alon, that God was the Redeemer. Okay, what were these Megillos? Okay, So, first of all, I found fascinating in the Medrash Rabbah. I saw this actually this year. I took this from somewhere else. I can't. I'm not exactly sure who's the commentator on the bottom of the Medrash Rabbah, but the commentary on the like the Kahati of the Medrash Rabbah. I don't know if it's the Torah Shlem. I don't know. I'm not exactly. No, this is just the Medrash. I'm on page 3. Skip to page 3 for the handout. Page 3. Fascinating line that he says. He says in the underlined part, all the way at the bottom, what does it mean? They were resting from Shabbos. It says, Od min hayamim shahayam Moshe ben Beito shel Paro. This idea that got Shabbos off was originally instituted by advice that Moshe gave his stepdad, Paro. You should give the Jews a day off while they're working so they'll be able to increase their productivity. It was Moshe who planted the original seed in Paro's mind when Moshe was a teenager. Moshe, remember, knows he's Jewish. We learned that year together in the past previously. Moshe plants the seed in Paro's mind. Paro introduces this idea of Shabbos, probably because Moshe, addressing the question, they didn't have Shabbos. Moshe, again, like the Avos, knew of Shabbos, tells them to give the Shabbos, and it's to that decision which now Paro is reneging 60 or whatever, how many years later, when Moshe now is an 80-year-old man coming back to save the Jewish people. That gives us with Shabbos. And it makes sense that the whole idea came from Moshe. We can understand why Moshe would know that it was Shabbat. He requested that it should be Shabbat. Makes sense. Gives some of the historical background. I think you'd have to lower the heat to get that thing. Okay? So Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky asked the question, which is, well, what were these Megillos? So he brings us to a different question that I'm sure you've heard the question, but I never fully grasped the answer until you read the Parak of Tehillim. There's a Parak of Tehillim that we recite every Shabbos. It's called Mizmor Shir Yom HaShabbos. It's the Mizmor for Shabbat. And let's read through the Mizmor because we want to do a little Tehillim Shir. So let's read the Mizmor Tehillim. Mizmor says, source 3, so Lahodos La Hashem L'Zamer Shem Chal Yom. I'm going to loosely translate, but I included the translation here. It's good to give thanks to Hashem and to sing praises of His name. Let's talk about His kindness and our emunah at nighttime. With a 10-string harp, voices and lyres together. Hashem is happy in your work. Is rejoicing in your handiwork. How great is your actions, Hashem? Your design is so deep. Ishbar lo yeda, a boor, a foolish person doesn't even realize it. Ksilo yavin is those they don't have. Though the wicked are sprouting like grass and evildoers blossoming, eventually they're going to be destroyed forever. And you will be exalted. Your enemies are going to be lost. And evil will be perished. But Taram Kirim Karni, and you will lift up my horns like an ox. And soaked in oil. I shall see the feet of my enemies and the wicked. And the righteous will blossom like the cedars in Lebanon. And the house of God, planted the house of the Lord, they flourish the courts of the God. And in their old age they'll produce fruit. And they're full of sap and freshness. Testing that God is upright, in whom there is no wrong. So what is the glaring question about this whole Mizmor Tehillim that we just read? Maybe the English try to at least glean something about attempt of understanding what we're saying. We'll get into a little bit in depth in a second. What's the glaring question? There is nothing to do about Shabbos. Why is this the Mizmor chosen for Shabbos? Nothing about it says Kiddush, says Amotzi, says Cholent, says naps, right? Nothing about it about rest, nothing. Okay? So, doesn't talk about anything. So the portion, I'll pick up this question. So Rashi says the portion. Rashi says, why is it Yom HaShabbos? We say it on Shabbos. Why? Rashi gives maybe a cryptic answer. That is a little bit, I think so too, Aryeh. Rashi says it's talking about some sort of futuristic Olam Haba, which is Yom Shapul Shabbos, and that's why, kind of like when everything's gonna magically come together, and that's why we read it on Shabbos. I think Rashi, like Aryeh, maybe it's a little bit of a stretch. Ezra says maybe a little bit closer to a shot it resonates. Even Ezra writes, key, and underline. Ba'avur hayot nishmas hamaskal b'sheshim hamasim nidgodeta be'iskil. Because during the 6 days of work, we're so busy. We're not really contemplating God. We're just so busy in our jobs. Al-keni mitgodedet b'Shabbos la'avi ma'aseh Hashem nidgodeta. Right? The whole Parak Tehillim is really reflecting on Hashem's design, how the world operates. We'll get into a little bit what specifically it's focusing on. And it's hard to reflect on how good Hashem is when you're busy working. So it takes us Shabbos to give us time to do His kodesh, to think, contemplate. And during that time, you'll realize that how great Hashem is. That's what you do. Here comes Yaakov comes in the Sefer Emes Yaakov, which I put part of this year. I want to see the whole piece, fascinating piece, a lot in it. I took probably the most important for our conversation. Yaakov Kamnetsky says, hold on, it just doesn't do it. Rashi, even Ezra, it just didn't do why this Mizmor is Shabbos. He says the Gemara Bava Basra. The Gemara Bava Basra tells us the following: Yud Dalet and Beis. Yafi, I'm sorry I didn't put a PDF on the show website, but we'll get you the copy if you want to see this one. Okay? The Gemara says, who wrote Sefer Tehillim? Famous Gemara Bava Basra, Dalet and Beis. David Passav Sefer Tehillim. Idea started. David Melch wrote Sefer Tehillim, but there were 10 other Zakanim, 10 other contributing editors. Adar Rishon, Adar Tzedek, Adar Avram, Al Yedei Moshe. One of the contributing editors to Sefer Tehillim is Moshe Rabbeinu. And Rashi says, and which part of Sefer Tehillim did Moshe write? Rashi writes, Tefillah of Moshe, which parenthetically, you were talking about the other week, how that's the most important of all of the Tefillot on Shabbos. He says the one that if you miss it, you have to go back and say it. There's something we're talking about that if you're in a rush, you can't skip Tefillah Moshe. It's a really key part of Berachos Kriyat Shema. Tefillah Moshe is actually written by Moshe, which makes sense. Tefillah Moshe, prayer of Moshe. But then Rashi says, "Kol echad asar mizmor tisidran," and the next 11 mizmorim tisidran in their order. So listen what Emes Yaakov says. Let's turn to the Emes Yaakov. The handout on page 4. Here's his thesis. He says, based on this, says Nireh, the top right column, the last page. It says Nireh, Shemizmor Zeh, this Mizmor, Shirley Mashabbos, Parak Sadi Beth of Tehillim, Zehaya Echa Mehamegillo, Shishtashtu Behem B'Yom HaShabbos Mitzrayim. This Parak of Tehillim was one of those scrolls, was one of those Sfarim that they were reading on Shabbos. After Paro said, "Okay, we'll give him a Shabbos in Moshe's youth." And Moshe got to choose. I picked Shabbos. Seder Moshe Moshe arranged it that the Jews should be learning on their Shabbos, should just be to rest and collapse. But now when Moshe comes back to let the people go, Paro says that you have to work even on Shabbos. They should not be able to be carving and learning their Megillot. And he quotes a later pasuk that we'll get to in a second. That basically the answer that Rav Kamenetsky gives is that why is this Mizmor of Shabbos? It's not thematically, but historically it was learned on Shabbos. This is one of the chizuks that the Bnei Yisrael learned on Shabbos. Apparently there were a bunch of other prakot there. Now the question is, why this one? Of all the prakot film, why is this the one? Here I thought this is where I didn't cop even when I heard this before. I really cop when I read the piece. So he goes in the next paragraph and he says, look at the next arrow there, the next paragraph. King Yishlomar, the Mizmor Zeh Echa Me'amegilot Hadan Be'inyan Shel Rasha V'Tomer V'Tzadik. Now we'll get to the theme. What was the theme of the Parak Tehillim Mizmor Shel Rasha? It was all about Tzadik V'Rala. We have a good guy, what do we call it? The Odyssey. Why do bad things happen to good people? The aim is that when in the lifetime of Moshe was the question of theodicy of Tzadik Ralo, the question. Kamuvan, כי אחרי שרוב בני ישראל ביניהם את ענני הכבוד סביבם, וכל פעם שהיו חוטאים שהיו בא תקף העונש, אז לא היה מקום של זה. In the times post-Exodus, when they were living in the Midbar for those 40 years, at that point, every time the Jews did something, they got exactly what they deserved. The Shiloh of Tzadik Ralo wouldn't have been an appropriate Shiloh. It would have been during the times when Klal Yisrael was enslaved. And they saw, we are much better people. These evil, wicked Mitzrayim. Yet there are taskmasters, and we are the servants. That's what Moshe says. I realize I have to be osik in this sugya. I have to talk about this question. This is what Klal Yisrael is wondering about. They're losing faith. They're wondering, what's going on here? We are Jews. This is what we get for being followers of I guess, of being Obdei Hashem or Torah. Once they had it, he says you have to take a step back and reflect that before it got taken away, what were the Jews doing on their Shabbos when they had a day off? They were learning on their Shabbos. When they had a day off, they were going to learn. But Noam, what was the most important thing for them to learn before they lost their day off? We need to lift up their spirits. They shouldn't be knocked over by the difficult question of theodicy of Tzadik Ralo. And that's why Moshe said this parak of all prakim of Tehillim is the Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos. This is the one that means to be singing on Shabbos. The Shabbos throughout our lives also. Maybe we feel like it's the one day we can contemplate something. So what should we think about? At least for them, it made more sense. Tzadik Ralo. Hopefully, we don't think about Tzadik Ralo. But I think historically, think of Jewish people. Tzadik Ralo has been pretty relevant throughout the ages as an important topic to grapple with when you have some free time. You have to be talking about having emunah even when it's dark. Even when you're in galus, which is comparable to night. Preaching our emunah in the nighttime. We have to reflect and say, wow, the design of the world is amazing. Because what is the Mizmor all about? The Mizmor is basically all saying that, how many of us say this practically? We've said it a million times. We don't even realize what we're saying. Literally, we're saying something. How deep is your design of your world? That all this wickedness seems to be on the up, or seems to be doing so well. But then, eventually, they're going to be destroyed. It's basically saying, yes, the wicked are prospering in this world in order so that there's nothing left for them for eternity. At the end of the day, wickedness gets all the reward in this world, and that's it. They're done. And then I get uplifted like my I get my horns like an ox. And I see all the down from my wicked. As basically the whole thing is the whole purpose of this paragraph is to teach us that God is just. That the whole Ayakash Tzayibral ends in Moshe being reflecting that yes, things look bleak right now, yes, things look tough, but then they were going to go through. Then Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky adds another element to this whole thing. In the very same Gemara, the Gemara says who wrote Sefer Iyov. And what is one of the shittot of who wrote Sefer Iyov? One of the other shittot is that Moshe wrote Iyov. Why would Moshe have written Iyov? When I first learned that Gemara, I was like, okay, that's a little stretch. But Moshe did everything. And Moshe had spare time just to turn out Iyov when he was bored. But Yaakov says it's the same thing. He says Moshe was osik in the sugya of Tzadik Ralo. That's the question of Iyov, of theodicy. What was the curriculum of yeshiva in Mitzrayim? What was their Shabbos like in Mitzrayim? What were they learning when they had time to learn? They were learning Shabbos. They were learning Parak Tehillim. They were learning Sefer Iyov. They were doing all of the sugyot, which really speaks to Tzadik Ralo, but F Shekol Yud Alf is more Chibra Moshe B'Yotov Eretz Yisrael. And then he goes on to say that perhaps all those 11 Mizmorim, now when we look at Sefer Tehillim, if we look carefully, those next 11 Mizmorim, they were all written by Moshe specifically when they were. So now we take this idea and go back to our other sources. First of all, the Pasuk Tehillim says, "Lule Torascha Shashuai Azavarti Be'anyi." This is not one of those 11s. A little bit later, but we see the idea is not for the Torah as my Shashu, as my game, my pursuit, what I'm osik in. Then Azavarti Be'anyi, I would be lost. The whole purpose, if we don't have the Torah, then we have nothing to bring us out of the depths of despair. Again, the idea is that the Torah on Shabbos was gave the Jewish people chizuk, and Paro knew it. And Paro tried to work them down to the ground by taking away Shabbos. He knew that was the elixir of their sanity and their sustaining themselves. If you see, there's a few other sources that Rabbi Yaakov points to. He says, where else do we see Moshe's contributions to Sefer Tehillim? So now we pay a little more attention. He brings it back to Tfilu Moshe Ish Elokim. Right? This is what we're talking about. Tfilu Moshe. That Moshe wrote this parak of Tehillim, and he points out, it's interesting. He says that Moshe already wrote Yemei Shotenu Bahem Shivim Shana V'Miguro Shmonim Shana. He says that the pasuk says that the days of man are 70 years, and if you're lucky, 80 years. The Rabbim Amal V'Avan Kigash Lishon. Most of them are toiling away. So here he points out there's actually a question of this. What's the question if Moshe wrote this? Moshe was older than 80. So there's a pircha on the shir. If you're going to say that Moshe wrote all these 11 Pirkim Tehillim, so then it's not clear that why Moshe would have written 70 or 80. That's why I think most people say it was David HaMelech, this Pirkim Tehillim, because David HaMelech lives to 70. It would make more sense for someone to say the average lifespan is 70. If you're lucky 80, if someone only living to 70, not someone lives to 100. Oh, you say he was being grateful. It was like his 80th birthday party, and he was like, give out. I like it. I'm just raising the question. We're not going to solve who, but I think it's just to put you aware to some of the questions that are there. And also another one of this 11 that was famous, we'll say it tomorrow night. Right? We sing to Hashem, we call out to our rock, and it was in those psukim where I never understood this. I'll just leave as a question. I never understood this. I've heard of Golbeth Mishir a long time ago. I don't remember the answer. But we end the first parak of the Ranma, the opening to Kabbalah Shabbos, is Al Takshu Levavkim Kivriva Kilmas Lamidbar. Don't harden your heart like you did in Meriva when we were fighting in the Midbar. When you saw our mishaps, when you tested the forefathers, when you saw my mistakes. I never understood why we started Kabbalah Shabbos with this Mizmor of all of these Morim. It's like pointing out, remember when you were really harsh with us in the Midbar those 40 years? A little bit strange. That's a separate shir. Maybe we'll give that a separate time. Try to do some homework on that. Why this is the opening of Kabbalah Shabbos. But it's very interesting now in the context that this is Tzadi Hey. It's the same slew of 11 Mizmorim. Moshe wrote this. So Riyad Karnatz goes on to say that clearly Moshe was writing these Parakim of Tehillim at different points throughout the journey. Obviously, the one about the 40 years in the desert would have been a later point than the Mizmor Shir of Shabbos. This is Tehillim, it's not the Torah. You're saying the whole idea of... No, I don't, not necessarily. That's a whole other discussion. How did Moshe write the Torah, the Gra, the letters are jumbled? But this is Tehillim. I don't know if he may have had some notebooks where he was jotting down poetry and saying maybe. But my point is, I think, and Riyad Karnetsky says this, that it's clear that different parts of Tehillim are from different historical points, And usually, the historical point is important to understand what issue they were grappling with at that point. So again, I'm not sure why we're saying Kabbalah Shabbos. That we're not answering that question tonight, but at least we see that this would make sense for Moshe to be saying this, less so than that Moshe picked the topic.
Because that's what they said in Shabbos. And Moshe said, "Oh, we'll use the new Mashiach that we shall."
Okay, so just to take this full circle, Parshas Be'eruv, Yaakov Amitzki says, and that's how we understand the pasuk of the two psukim later. In the next parsha, where it says, "Lo shamu Moshe b'kotzer ruach me'avoda pasha." They couldn't listen to Moshe b'kotzer ruach, their limited spirits, and me'avoda pasha, the hard work. Yaakov Amitzki says, I didn't put the next piece on there, just to say on paper, the trees, but the notion is, he says the same idea. After Paro now changes the rules and said, no, you're going to work on Shabbos, that's when the pasuk introduces Mikotzer Ruach Me'avoda Kasha. It wasn't just the fact that they were working another day, it was Mikotzer Ruach. They didn't have the spiritual chizuk they were getting every Shabbos by going home to read their Megillos that were giving the chizuk, the reason that Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Medrash says, reading Lomar Shekadosh Baruch Hu Alon, to remind themselves that, there's going to be redemption. Kadosh Baruch Hu, forget about us and come back. That is what it means. It's a reference to that they lost Shabbos. It wasn't just they lost a day off. They lost their base medrash. They lost their time to be learning and to be getting chizuk from their Megillos. So I just want to conclude with the thought that really what this whole shir about is in essence that we need to have Megillos. We need to have books, svarim, articles, essays, parts of Torah that give us things. There needs to be something that we can go to, and it just no matter what time of day, no matter what's going on in our lives, that we can go to that entity, and that entity is going to give us things. That's what the shir is about. The shir is about that in the midbar, it was Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos that really gave chizuk for the Jewish people, or these Megillos that really re-energize and re-infuse them with energy. And when I think about Mrs. Stiefel, and I saw it myself, she showed me her Sefer Tehillim. I think one time I was in the hospital in St. Joe's, I think we were talking and joking. I said, you should write up your Kedushin. Right? Do you remember that? It was just me, you, and her. Right, I asked her if she'd give I asked her if she'd give a shir in the shul, because she said she has her Tehillim and she's writing things out. I can't remember. I saw her writing, she had lots of tabs at the post-it. And I remember I remember asking her, I said, when are you going to come to shul? When are you going to write your Sefer, on Sefer Tehillim? And she lit up. She got excited about the idea. We were working towards it, but it was something which for her, right, it wasn't her, but for her, it was something that really gave her peace. And I think in all of our own lives, we have to have those Megillos that we turn to be able to find peace, no matter what we're facing in our lives. So the neshama of Leah Bas Yehuda, b'schus the Torah that we learned together, b'schus the brachos that were made, and the dibuch haverim that we have together, and neshama shab and Aliyah, and we should follow the Steeple's path and that she forged for us of really having a sefer that she connected to. We should all be zocheh to find that sefer. Live to learn as long as she did. Amen. Amen. All right, Yasher Koach, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you to the Alish for sponsoring.